we're in a position to share with you some of the insights that we've derived having audited PPE procurement in both the health sector and the basic education sectors. Some of the PPE procurement processes were run through the departments of health in the provinces. Some were run through the Department of Basic Education. Some were run by the provincial treasury, as was the case in the Free State. But we've looked at all of them, and we've summarized our findings on each of those areas. Our report has a summary on page 90 that will give you a feel for where we had these findings, which provinces had a prevalence of findings. I'm just going to highlight just the key observations and the summary of what it is we found. We've highlighted that competitive processes were not followed, such that some of the contracts were issued to suppliers that should not have got those awards. And there were deviations that were not approved at the appropriate level. We noticed and had findings in different areas that the requirement that was established by the National Treasury for some aspects of PPE to have local content in them, those were not always observed. And we also found that the tax affairs of some of the suppliers that benefited from these contracts were not in order. That is against the law, in that anybody who gets a government contract should have their tax affairs in order. In fact, there's a requirement that you have a tax clearance certificate. And of course, it falls foul of the notion that government must get the taxes that it should collect. We found that the processes of procurement were not always fair, and they were not always treating the different bidders in a fair and equal manner. So some were penalized for local government and others were not. Some were penalized for not having their tax affairs in order and others were not, which compromises the confidence that those who want to supply goods and services to government must have in the procurement systems. We found instances in many provinces of prices that were paid for PPE that were higher than the market prices that were determined by the National Treasury. And in that summary on page 90, you'll be able to see which provinces that applied to. We also highlighted that some of the PPE that was delivered did not meet the required specifications. We also found that in some provinces, payments were made to suppliers, even though they did not submit or did not deliver PPE at the right quality, and they either under-delivered or delivered late, and yet they were paid.